When's your due date?
Right now.
Is your due date 11?
What?
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy?
Yes.
You have two babies at home? Who's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor. Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
Thank you.
My daughter went into active labor at home. We took her to the hospital. She called ahead of time, so we know they are expecting us. However, we get there to the emergency room. We watching nurses, putting gloves on, running to the door. They get outside of the door, and I drive a black SUV, and they look at my vehicle, and one of the nurses come up to the window, and she goes, I'm sorry, this is for ambulance only. I said, well, my daughter is in active labor. And she was like, okay, she said, but you're going to have to go to the front. I'm like, I have to drive to the front. And they said, yeah, you have to drive to the front. Okay, another redhead. And so I'm like, so she's you hear, and it was like, yeah, she started bagging up, hit the button, went back inside the building. So I go around to the front. I get out of the car. Again, this girl is in more pain now than she was when we first left the house. And she started saying, I feel pressure. I said, take deep breaths. I ran in. I said, hey, my daughter's in the car. I went to emergency. They told me I had to come to the front. So the lady was like, what's your daughter's name? Told her Kiara Jones. She gets out some paperwork, started typing in the name. I was like, ma'am, do you have a wheelchair or anything? She's in the car. I need to get her in. Oh, if you check on the other side of those doors where the vending machine's at, there should be a wheelchair out there. There's no wheelchair out there. So she gets up, she walks in the back, and she come to the door with a wheelchair. She said, here you go, ma'am. I said, excuse me, you're not going to come with me? And she was like, no.
So we have a name attached to the nurse who basically was medically negligent with the African-American young lady who came in active labor. LaChrista Vaughn.
This is Nurse LaChrista Vaughn. LaChrista works at Dallas Regional Medical Center in Mesquite, Texas. And the other day, she had a woman in the triage room and she had no type of sense of urgency whatsoever. Mind you, this patient was clearly in pain, and you can even hear in her tone of voice that she just did not care whatsoever. She showed no type of empathy and no type of sense of urgency whatsoever. In fact, the way she was even asking the questions, she sounded more annoyed than anything. When is your due date? How many times have you been pregnant? Like, she sounded like this was something that just annoyed the crap out of her.
I just watched the video of the woman who was in labor, and the nurse just sat there while she screamed in agony and did not help her. This woman was in so much pain. She was screaming. The lady was not listening to the questions that she had already answered. But let's also not mention the notion that people have this idea that black women don't feel pain. Black women, when it comes to medical, healthcare, whatever the case may be, don't feel pain. They don't need as much help. They being dramatic. She's sitting there screaming and gave birth 12 minutes later. What woman do you know goes into a hospital, sits in a waiting room, gives birth within 10 minutes of arriving to the hospital, or within arriving in the room? Make it make sense. She was ignored. And the fact that women are wanting to become nurses for the bag, for the possibility of being able to buy a nice car and do the whole nine. This is what I'm saying. please, please, please make sure you're doing things for the right reason. Make sure you actually have the passion and the care for people, and you have sympathy and empathy for people, because you cannot do a job like nursing and not have that.
No one deserves that. A healthcare worker who lacks the care.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. In Texas, inside the halls of Dallas Regional Medical Center, a shocking scene unfolded, one that has since ignited outrage across the internet and reopened painful conversations about medical racism in America. A black woman arrived in active labor, visibly distressed, clearly in pain, and desperately needing immediate medical attention. Anyone watching could see she wasn't exaggerating or overreacting. She was in labor, her body trembling, her voice strained, her breathing unsteady. Yet the nurse assigned to her behaved as if none of it mattered. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. You will find their ads in my description box. For now, let's watch a few more clips and I'll be back with more commentary.
I just witnessed medical racism with my own eyes, and I'm still angry about it. What I saw today was neglect, it was disrespect, it was racism in real time, and I'm not going to just pretend it didn't happen, because what they did was absolutely unacceptable. This needs to be talked about. This woman was doubled over, crying out, gripping the chair, begging for help, and the nurses acting like she wasn't even there. They were shuffling papers, chatting with each other, walking around so casually while she was suffering right in front of them. No urgency, no concern, nothing. Watching how slow and careless they were while a black woman literally fought through contractions in a waiting room, it made my blood boil. Because let's be honest, if she wasn't black, they would have taken her back immediately without a second thought.
It's normal for them to get the paperwork and get all of your, history and stuff in the computer. What's not normal is the demeanor and the attitude that the nurse had towards her. There was no type of comforting words. There was no acknowledgement. I'm more disgusted by the behavior of the nurse, not the whole intake process. What pisses me off is that she's clearly in a lot of pain. She's in discomfort. Things could have been handled differently. If you're going into the hospital like that, you're screaming in pain, they need to be handling it differently. And no one else was in that room doing anything. That nurse was sitting there calling doctor's offices or whatever, but there was no sense of urgency. And I'm sorry, but giving birth is like life and death, okay? I think we forget that even though you're in a hospital setting, it is still extremely dangerous and things can go wrong. There should have been some kind of sense of urgency, empathy, sympathy, something from the nurse.
Instead of rushing to help, instead of offering reassurance or compassion, the nurse sat calmly at her desk, clicking through paperwork, asking routine questions with a cold, detached tone and showing no urgency whatsoever. Her demeanor wasn't just unprofessional, it felt indifferent, it felt dismissive, and to many watching the video online, it felt like a textbook example of medical bias against black women. The patient pleaded multiple times for help. She told the nurse she was in unbearable pain. She told her that the baby was coming, but the nurse's response seemed to hover somewhere between annoyance and disbelief, as if she assumed the woman was exaggerating or being dramatic. Instead of assisting, she insisted on finishing paperwork, while the patient endured wave after wave of contractions right in front of her. For most people, seeing someone in that level of distress triggers a basic human instinct: help her. But for this nurse, that urgency simply wasn't there. And for many who later saw the viral footage, the message felt painfully familiar, because this is exactly how the healthcare system often treats black women. Across the United States, black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to be unalived during childbirth than white women, not because of biology, not because of genetics, but because their pain is often dismissed, their symptoms overlooked, and their concerns minimized. Study after study show that black women are more likely to be labeled as exaggerating, overreacting, or non-compliant, even when reporting the same symptoms as white patients. These biases aren't hypothetical, they are measurable, and they are deadly. In this Texas hospital, the viral incident felt like yet another example, another moment where a black woman's pain was treated as an inconvenience instead of an emergency. The public was outraged. Many called it medical racism. Others demanded accountability, asking how someone who showed so little empathy could be allowed anywhere near patients. Social media erupted with comments from black mothers, stories of being ignored during labor, being denied pain medication, or having their symptoms dismissed until it was almost too late. What made this incident even more disturbing was how preventable it was. Labor triage requires immediate assessment. Nurses are trained to quickly respond, especially when a patient appears to be in active labor. Paperwork is never more important than a patient's safety, and compassion, basic human compassion, is supposed to be at the core of healthcare. Yet in this moment, none of that seemed to matter. As the video spread, people began questioning whether the nurse faced consequences. Rumors circulated online claiming she had been fired, but nothing concrete has been confirmed. The hospital, like many institutions facing public controversy, has remained mostly silent. That silence has only fueled more anger because the public wants accountability. They want assurances that this kind of treatment will not be tolerated, and they want to know that Black patients will finally be treated with the dignity, urgency, and care they deserve.
Dallas Regional Medical Center, please step to the front. Step to the front. We have questions. Did y'all go ahead and get rid of this nurse? She's not acceptable to be on staff, okay? I want y'all to understand it's a pass for all of us, okay? As a Dallas resident, it's a pass.
This incident is bigger than one nurse, bigger than one hospital, bigger even than one moment of negligence. It is part of a larger and deeply rooted issue in America's healthcare system. Black women have been saying for decades that their pain is not believed, that their voices are ignored, and that they often have to fight, literally fight, to get proper medical treatment. Some do not survive that fight. Others carry trauma from it for the rest of their lives. Yet despite the overwhelming data, despite the heartbreaking stories, despite the ongoing advocacy, the system continues to fail Black women. And every time an incident like this goes viral, it serves as a painful reminder. The problem isn't solved. The bias is real, and it is costing lives. People online have made one thing clear. Anyone who cannot provide equal care to every patient has no business working in healthcare. A nurse's job is to help, to protect, to comfort, and to intervene when a patient is in danger. If someone cannot do that across racial lines, if they show compassion to white patients but skepticism toward Black ones, then they should not be in the profession at all. Healthcare is not a place for bias. It is not a place for selective empathy. It is a place where lives hang in the balance. The Texas incident has forced the country to confront an uncomfortable truth. Black women are still not safe in America's healthcare system. And until action is taken, not just discussions, these tragedies will continue. For the woman in labor that day, the experience will likely never be forgotten. What should have been one of the most vulnerable and sacred moments of her life became a traumatic battle to be taken seriously. And when the internet cannot undo what happened, the public outrage has made one thing clear. People are watching, people are speaking up, and people are demanding justice, not just for her, but for every Black woman who has been ignored, dismissed, or mistreated in a hospital room. Medical racism is real. The data is clear. The stories are endless. And incidents like this remind us why the fight for equity in healthcare must continue loudly and urgently.
LaChrista Vaughn does not need to be fired. She needs her license revoked and she needs to be sent to jail.
So what do you all think? Do you think this was medical racism? And what would you have done in this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. Lastly, I would implore you to please join my channel and I would really appreciate it. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.